Who will suffer most from Brexit, the UK or the rest of Europe?
I don't think the word suffering is the right phrase to use. I think that the United Kingdom will come off with a better balance sheet, let's put it like that. We don't want anyone to suffer. We're all going to be trading partners in the future. We're all friends, we're all Europeans, we're all going to get on in the future. So I wouldn't use the word suffering, but I think the UK is going to get a better balance sheet than the EU. And why is that? Well, for a start, we're the second biggest financial contributor to the EU. When we pull out and our contributions stop, then the EU is going to have to make good that shortfall somehow. It's going to have to go around all its member states, cap in hand, asking for an extra bit of cash. So their balance sheet is going to go a bit in the red and we're going to go a bit in the black. So I think that we'll come out of it better actually, and also the huge social cost to the United Kingdom. I mean, over the last 10 years, the United Kingdom has absorbed migration rates, which is the equivalent to absorbing the entire population of Belarus. You know, every 4 years we are getting into this country the population of Minsk. And what's that resulted in? Well, it's depressed wages significantly with the perhaps less qualified people, and that's really not fair. It's reduced opportunity amongst less qualified and perhaps more junior people trying to start their working life. And the other shocking impact, particularly in London, I mean I see it in London all the time, is the fight for space. We have such a crash now with migration, into, particularly in the big cities in London, that we now have auction races over garages. People are fighting to buy garages in the United Kingdom, or particularly London, so they can build on them and make little houses. And what next? They're going to be fighting over garden sheds. So we have a big fight over space, and when we leave the EU, that will soften, that will adjust, because we'll be able to control the numbers of people who come into the country and who they will be. I mean, obviously, we want to encourage high tech, we want to encourage research, R&D in all areas, and all the high flyers, the superstars, the brave, the bright and the beautiful will always 100% be welcome. And if you look at the Immigration Rules 2016, the Immigration Act 2016, there is already ample and successful processes in place whereby the bright, the bold and the beautiful can always come to the United Kingdom and always be welcome. Of course, we recognise that talent is a global phenomenon, but what we want to do is to be able to ensure that numbers are coming in that we can manage. So I think that the United Kingdom is going to be in the black because we'll have fewer people coming to the United Kingdom, be able to control the quality of the people coming in, and we won't be paying the EU contributions.
Thank you. The UK is looking for a post-EU model. How would this look like?
Well, I'm 100% UKIP, so I would want the hard Brexit. I would want us to regain our seat at the World Trade Organization, regain all of our shipping, sorry, not our shipping, well probably would be our shipping as well, to regain all our fishing fields around the whole of the United Kingdom. At the moment, Belgium gets about 60% of its fishing trade from us. You know, why should that continue? I mean, what benefit is it to us, really? So we would want to regain our fishing fleets. We want to regain our ability to trade with anyone in the world on our terms, be free to enter into free trade agreements if that's suitable for us, so that we don't have to pay any tariffs or custom charges to any country that we're doing business with, if it works for us and if it works for them. With regard to money, we don't want to be paying the EU any divorce bill to go. I think it was last week, Angela Merkel was demanding that we pay, I think it was about 100 billion euros to the EU. For what for? I'm not too sure. I think it's just basically to underpin their current pension system, and they want us to continue to maintain their fantastic lifestyle. If you look at the comparative analysis between our Brexit chap, David Davis, their Brexit chap, Michael Barnier is earning £78,000 more than our chap, and that says it all. It's just a money grab. They want to ensure that they can keep luxurious lifestyles, fabulous salaries and fantastic pension funds going, and that's why they're desperately hanging on to the money, and that's why they have said to us they will not discuss any form of trade deal until we have agreed how much money we're going to pay to them, which I think is a complete waste of time. It's a ransom. It's almost like a robber baron mafia tactic. Draw a line under it, wave goodbye, and just say, we will wait and we'll simply have the hard Brexit. We won't negotiate. We will see what happens after March 2019. See how you feel about things then. But I also understand that they want to show a strong hand to the United Kingdom. I'm very disappointed that they're not conducting themselves in a more collegiate manner, but I understand also they're probably very worried that if we get out of that organisation relatively scar-free, then perhaps Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, maybe Sweden and Denmark will want to follow. And then the whole thing unravels, and where do the lovely cushy jobs come from then for these people? You look at Angela Merkel, I don't think that woman's ever worked in business, I don't think she's ever worked in the private sector, and neither has Juncker. So, you know, they've had, I would say, charmed lives, professionally speaking, unlike the people who are paying all the tax to keep them there. So I think it's just about financial reallocation.
Are there any UK key positions for which you do not agree?
Well, the UK, with regard to Brexit, UKIP has 6 specific positions. I have mentioned them briefly. One is the legal position that we must reign supreme. There will be no appeal to the ECJ, the European Court of Justice. Human Rights Act will therefore have to be repealed. Number 2, with regard to the markets, we leave the single market. We're not going to be members of the customs union, because if we're going to be in the single market, that automatically follows that we will have to accept freedom of movement. If we're going to enter the customs union, that means we are barred from entering into any free trade deal. So that doesn't suit our needs. I'm sure there's some tailor-made trade deal that we can make with the EU. I don't think the Norway system helps us. I don't think that is going to be what we would be looking for at all.
How do you think Brexit will affect trade with European Union?
I think that it should have very limited impact. I know the Confederation of German Industry has demanded very clear plans from us, because of course they'd be very, very keen to keep up a good trading relationship with us. So I can't see it really having much of an impact once we've resolved the issue that we are no longer in the single market, so we do not have the freedom of movement burden, and once we've resolved that we're not in the customs union, so that we would be free to enter into free trade deals. It would be business as usual. I mean, the EU exports to us more in total than it does to India, Brazil and Russia in total, so they would be absolutely suicidally stupid not to cooperate with us. And I really don't understand the EU negotiating stance at the moment. It seems to be quite hostile and rather inflexible.
Many European financial centres are trying to attract business away from London. So what should investors expect?
Well, there's going to be some turbulence, of course, because we're going through a period of change, but I think that investors should really be thankful that we've left the EU and should be doubling up and investing in the country. The pound value has slid down, which is good. It was overvalued in the first place, which means that should be a big incentive for foreign direct investment, which is fantastic. And also, I know much has been said about possible transfer of financial services to Germany, but where they're going to go? Frankfurt? Who wants to live in Frankfurt? It's boring. Our international bankers in London are used to a very cosmopolitan, exciting London lifestyle. I don't think they're going to give that up to go and live in Frankfurt.
The worst possible scenarios for UK and for European Union?
Well, the worst possible scenario would be the Labour scenario, that we remain in the single market, thus we have freedom of movement, and we remain in the customs union, so we're unable to enter into any free trade deals. So we have effectively not left the European Union at all. I think that would be the worst possible situation for the United Kingdom. It would be a betrayal of all those people who voted in the referendum last year. And don't forget, we had about an 80% turnout. I don't think Mugabe's Zimbabwe elections have much of a better turnout, and that was done with honest, straightforward voting. So that's going to be the worst situation, I think, for the UK, that we're in a halfway house, which obviously the Labour Party would support, obviously because the Labour Party hierarchy are probably looking to the EU to supply them with the gravy train, lovely jobs, you know, the big pensions, big salaries for not much responsibility, and of course they want that to continue, paid for by us. For the EU, the worst solution for them, I think perhaps the worst solution for the EU would be a sort of weird halfway house as well. Come on, Germany wants to do business, France wants to do business, they want to sell their cheeses, their yogurts to us, you know, we've got to move on with this, and, you know, make sure that trade is lubricated and happens. So I think the sooner we get this done, with a hard Brexit ideally, that would be best for everyone.